limit of rational function. Rational function. So if you have been following us on this channel, we have talked about rational function. Then rational function is basically a function is the ratio of what? Two functions, g of x over h of x, where h of x is not zero. That's a rational function. So if you have limit of what? F of x as x approaches zero, this will be equal to what? The limit of the individual what functions, right? Limit of g of x all over limit as f is a of what? H of x. We solve them, the top limit, the down limit greatly. Then what? We can got on, right? Yeah. And then the limit as the limit of this one should not be zero. So let's look at some. Let's say we have a limit as x, which is minus one of x squared minus one over x plus. Sometimes to do this too, you have to be very careful, right? So if you need to consider something. So if h of equals to zero, or both h of x equals to zero, if h of x is equal to zero, then you need to reduce the function, right? Or if both g of x or the limit of g of x, so g of limit of are equal to zero, then what that means is that the numerator and the denominator have a common factor that you can reduce the function to a more smaller form before you can take the limits, right? So what you do, so this the function I just gave is a similar example, right? So if you substitute, let's rewrite it in the calculation. Substitute negative 1 inside, you realize that this will be 1 minus 1 and the bottom will be this. So which is equal to 0 over what? 0, right? Which means that the whole function that we are given can be further reduced, right? And then you can see that this can be reduced to, so what can you see? You can see this is a difference of what? 2 squares, right? So you can express it as what? You can express it as a difference of 2 squares. So x minus 1, x plus 1. And all this over what? X plus 1. So the x plus 1 can cancel the x plus 1 and be left with x minus what? 1, right? That's here. Now have limit as s approaches negative 1 of x minus 1. And this you can now solve simply by just substituting. So negative 1 minus 1, that should give us what? Negative. So the answer to this question is negative 2. But then when you do a direct substitution, you will get what? You get undefined parameters or values. So you need to be very careful. Then you need to take this part of the lecture very seriously when you are evaluating what rational what function, right? Rational function. The limit, if the limit of h of x is equal to 0, then you should be very careful. You should scrutinize the situation carefully, because probably there is what a factor between the denominator and the numerator which you can cancel out, right? So let's more example. Go to another. Okay. So let's look at this side. So let's look at this one. I have x plus 2 of x squared minus 7x plus what? 10. Remember, I have what? X squared minus 4. Let's do this without thinking of it. So let's do that. You're going to get, so you just substitute. So you now find limit as s approaches to x squared minus what? 7 all over limit as s approaches of what? X squared minus 4. And this should give 4 minus what? That's 10. This should give you 0 over what? 0. And that tells you that what? There is what? A common factor between the numerator and what? Denominator, right? Between the numerator and the denominator, there is this factor that we can what? Take out. There's this factor that we can take out. So we need to simplify the numerator. And to do this, you now have to what? Find the factors. So if you do the factors of this, the numerator, you get what? X minus 2, x minus 5. And the denominator is difference of 2 squared. This side is 4. Difference of 2. So that will give us what? X minus 2, x plus 2. So you can see that there is a common factor which is what? X minus 2, right? X minus 2. So you can take this out. Then this limit will now leave what? Limit as s approaches x minus 5 over what? X plus 2. You can now take your limit as s approaches x minus 5 all over limit as s approaches to what? S plus. This will give us what? 2 minus 5. 2 plus 2. This will give us 50 on what? 50 on 4. And that's so you have to be very careful and text all your options, your final answer. So you realize from here, I tried to go straight and I realized that, oh shit, the top is what? 0 and the bottom is what? 0, which validates what we have written here. That if lim of h of x, that which is the denominator, limit of the numerator is 0, then you should be very careful. And even more, if the limit of the numerator is also 0, then you should also be very careful. So if you have 0 over 0 or something over 0, then you should be very careful to scrutinize the picture. Let's continue. I think you should just work on one more example. They're all coming that was rational functions. So yeah, studying about rational. Yeah. Okay, this quite an interesting one. So we can just proceed without assuming anything and then try and see if we can find it. This one asks us up all over limits as s up choose one of x one. This one. So when you do this, you get what? 0 over 0. Then this should pass what? An alarm. Something is happening. These two functions, the numerator and the denominator, have a common factor which must simplify out, right? So when you do that, you get that what? You can what? Simplify x cubed minus what? 1, right? And this give us the x cubed minus 1. Give us x squared plus x plus 1. The numerator will be what? X minus 1. So they have what? Common factor, right? Have a common factor which we can take out. So if we take out the common factor, this will give us what? Limit as s approaches 1 of what? S squared plus 1. And this will be to what? 1 plus 1 plus 1 should be equal to. So this limit will be equal to 3. But if you are not careful, you will land at this place and think, oh, this question is wrong, this question is wrong. But then this is actually telling you that what the two functions. So there are also more examples that we need to also. Let's look at um, that of rational set function, right? Let's say you have limits as s equals to 3 of what? 9 minus what? X squared all over 16 minus 4 minus square root of x squared plus what? 7, right? Normally, this is a rational function, so we want to go straight solve it, right? We have a limit as s at which is 3, 9 minus x all over limit as s at which is 3 of 4 minus square root of what? X squared plus what, right? And this will give you 9 minus what? 3 squared. This will give you 4 minus 3 squared. So this, if you realize, will give us what? 0 over 0. Boom. This is an alarm telling you that what? There is a factor. The numerator and the denominator has a factor which you are not taking into consideration, right? So now the main question is, how do you find this? How do you simplify this to get that factor out? Right? And then, so this is where we now consider where the square root is. Since the square root or the set part is in the denominator, you are going to rationalize the denominator. You're going to rationalize the denominator. You're going to rationalize the denominator. And to rationalize the denominator, we'll find the what? So we'll find the conjugate. Find the conjugate of the denominator 4 minus the square root of s squared. And this conjugate will give us what? 4 plus square root of s squared plus 7. If you want to know more about how to find conjugates, you should refer back to our said videos. I'll add a link here at the top here for you. So go and look at that. Now, if you find a conjugate, you're going to rationalize the numerator. So let's do that. We have this as f, which is 3 of 9 minus x over minus s squared plus 9, right? We multiply the top, divide by the same thing, right? And when you simplify, I'm not going to be writing the for now, but then just know that the limit is added, okay? So you have this corresponds to C. All over 4 minus square root by 4 plus square root s squared. So, right? We'll leave the numerator, we'll focus more on the denominator. So you realize that this is for the difference of two squares. You have a minus b multiplying what? A plus this will give us that's what? A squared minus what? Squared, right? In this case, we are going to consider that part. So this will now give us what? 9x squared, 9 minus x squared, 4 plus square root x squared plus 7 all over what? 4 squared minus square root of x squared 7 all squared, right? This will give us 9 minus what? S squared to bracket 4 plus square root of x squared plus 7 all over what? 9 minus what? X squared. So we are finally what? Found our factor, and our factor is what? 9 minus what? X squared. But cancel that out, and we are left with only that. So our limit now will only be limit as s approaches the 4 plus what? Square root of x squared plus 7, right? And this will be 4 plus square root of 3 squared plus, and that will give us 8. So the value of 4 plus 4 is 8. So that's your final answer. So if you have the set, the numerator, you are going to rationalize the numerator, right? You are going to find the conjugate of the numerator, multiply the top and down. So then you get a factor, you cancel out, you start the answer, right? So that's that. Now let's